Good afternoon, Bhargav and Uday. It is Thursday, the 26th of October, and today we'll be doing an internal briefing. We may release this to clients if it's helpful for them. The focus of today's internal discussion will be the Khalistan issue in India. And as most of us are aware, India is currently having a diplomatic standoff with Canada over the Khalistan issue. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau had blamed Indian intelligence agencies for killing a Canadian pro-Khalistani supporter in British Columbia on June 18. The Indian government, however, has refuted the claims, and recently it even ordered 41 Canadian diplomats to leave the country over the issue. So today we'll analyze the history and the threats posed by the Khalistan movement. So Uday, could you throw some light on the history behind the movement and how it eventually spread to other countries?
Yeah, sure, Jeshil. Thanks for that. So if we go back a few decades, the history of the Khalistan movement comes from after partition, Punjab was bifurcated into many states. There was East Punjab in India, there was West Punjab in Pakistan, and then Punjab was further divided into Haryana, and a bit of it was given away to Himachal Pradesh in India. And the Khalistan issue came from Sikhs, which were the majority community in Punjab, demanding more rights for themselves as they were the agricultural hub of the country. They've been known as, Punjab has been known as India's breadbasket. They were asking for more rights and representation and more autonomy for the states, which was critically controlled by the Indira Gandhi administration at that time. There was a lot going on at that time. So basically in 1984, in the 1980s, the Khalistan movement gathered steam with insurgents starting to call for an independent state, not a more autonomous state within India. And it culminated in Operation Blue Star, which happened in 1984. And at that time, the Indian army went into the Golden Temple, which was the holiest shrine of Sikhs, to remove some Khalistani separatists. It can be argued whether they were separatists in the first place. There's a lot of controversy and mixed emotions. But basically, in that operation, that led to the killing of then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi by her bodyguards, which led to mass killings of Sikhs in North India, and that set off the insurgency in Punjab. The insurgency was very intense in the late 1980s, with many groups operating there. Some of them were based in other countries, especially Canada, for example, and they had facilitated terror attacks, for example, the 1985 Air India bombing. And the insurgency pretty much died in the early to mid 1990s. Indian security forces pretty much crushed it. And since then, the threat of Khalistan in India has been non-existent. There have been attempts to revive the scare. It might be fear-mongering ahead of next year's elections or just power politics. There have been a few times the Khalistani issue has been spread in Indian media over the last few months or even years, for example, during the farmers' protests. But that doesn't reflect the security environment within India itself. Would you agree to that, Bhargav?
To a greater extent, I must agree. Especially having traveled in some of the remote parts of Punjab, it is very hard to notice any such tensions actually exist at the ground level, especially when we are talking from a communal as well as in terms of religious harmonies perspective. It is difficult to pinpoint where the Khalistani terror actually exists at the ground level. Adding to that is a very complex yet quite frosty relationship between India and Canada. In between is the diasporic community, which share ties between Canada and India, especially Punjab. A vast majority of Indians in Canada happen to be Punjabi and mostly Sikh. And there comes the diplomatic spat between the two countries. To begin with, the diplomatic relationship between India and Canada have been frosty for decades, with few brief periods of healthy diplomatic exchanges, especially when Stephen Harper, the Conservative Prime Minister before Justin Trudeau was in power. Specifically, talking about the current diplomatic crisis between the two countries, in September, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada accused India of involvement in Nijar, who allegedly was a Khalistan supporter, his murder, and a claim which India vehemently denied and asked for evidence. It is important to note that Canadian government till date has not released any concrete evidence other than referring to alleged involvement in the backroom conversation within the intelligence community, which is not admissible in any court, especially in Canada. And the murder investigation is still ongoing without any arrests being made. Following these allegations, diplomatic ties between the two countries have deteriorated, to say the least. And in June 2023, going back to the actual murder, Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a Sikh separatist leader, allegedly was fatally shot in British Columbia. That was the westernmost province of Canada. Nijjar was wanted by Indian security agencies due to his involvement, or rather his alleged involvement in 2007 bombing in Punjab that killed 6 people and injured 40 others. The assassination of another Sikh politician, Rulda Singh, in 2009. Canada in particular has seen a surge in Khalistani activities over the past few decades. Khalistani groups or groups with sympathies for the cause in the country have enjoyed a political clout despite multiple allegations and credible evidences given by Indian government to Canadian government of their involvement in some of the terror attacks in India, and most importantly in the 1985 bomb blast which took place on the Air India flight Kanishka. Uday, can I ask you to intervene here?
Yeah. Based on what you were saying on the diplomatic spat, India is definitely taking a more hardline stance than it has taken before, because as Bhargav was saying, there are Khalistani operatives functioning in Punjab that are, organized by groups in the diaspora, which is mainly based in Canada or the UK. Now, there's another connection here, which we have to mention, is Pakistan. Pakistan has always looked to destabilize India. And during the 1980s, after demands for an independent Khalistan state came, they started training and arming Khalistani militants. And Pakistan is still accused of funding these pro-Khalistan groups in the West. And they in turn conduct operations in India. So India views them as a credible security threat, and they are a credible security threat. They've also been involved in the narco industry in Punjab. Punjab is currently about 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 people in Punjab are addicted to hard drugs. There's been a massive surge in the use of heroin there. The economy locally, there's not much. It's primarily agricultural based. There's a lot of farmer suicides every year, and people are looking to move out. So it's not, the conditions aren't great, considering that Punjab used to be one of the strongest states by GDP in India. And in this socio-economic mix, we have groups in the West that, are taking advantage of this and adding to the gang violence and the criminality and the drug trade in Punjab, India itself. So this is why I think India has been taking a hardline stance. It can be argued, that India's involvement in this, we'll wait to see what Canada says officially in terms of evidence. Don't want to debate on that, but these groups are a security threat to India, and they have been for a long time. So India cracking down on them is not such a surprise. It's just come out now more because of Justin Trudeau at this point.
Yes. So to underline some of the key points, what Uday mentioned, rather reiterate, probably the worst side effect or a direct effect of such an underground movement is the gang warfare and much greater influence of the drug cartels or gangsters involved in drug peddling in Punjab. It has hit the youth of the state very hard. It is very hard to go into some of the rural areas or some of the areas within urban cities such as Chandigarh and not see the bad impact of such the gang violence and the gang movement within the drug peddling circles. And more importantly, like Uday mentioned, and again, we need to underline, is that Canada has had a very lackadaisical approach to law enforcement as well as tackling some of the international uh, terror outfits, including the Babar Khalsa Khalistan Liberation Front, despite receiving multiple intelligence briefs from India. And India, on the other hand, uh, irrespective of all of the deficiencies within the governance in India and the corruption involving the government officials or the security forces, has been proactive, and that has been proven time and again when they have tackled insurgency in Punjab in the early 90s. Of course, due mention has to be made to the human rights violations, but the after effect remains that the insurgency was stifled, as Uday rightly mentioned. But you do not see the same proactive approach by Canada, either in tackling the gang warfare which is being taken place. See, Canada has released multiple lists of most wanted gangsters, and 4 to 5 out of 10 of them happen to be of Punjab origin, and that says a lot. And despite all of that, uh, the unfortunate scenario is that the diasporic community, especially those with sympathies with the Khalistani cause, have a stranglehold on the political spectrum at the moment, with NDP, the New Democratic Party, which is backing the Justin Trudeau-led Liberal Party, have a stranglehold on the political spectrum across the board. So we'll have to see how this evolves, because the leader of opposition in Canada has vouched for a better relationship with India. So there needs to be a more concerted effort between the two governments and avoid such diplomatic spat, because at the end of the day, what who suffers from it? The actual people who suffered from it are the diasporic community with roots in both the countries. And the security is likely to suffer as well, because if the security agencies do not collaborate, the nefarious actors are likely to take advantage of that. So I guess that's it from my end. Uday, if you want to round it off.
Yeah, just to, I guess, round it off in a one-line sentence. The threat of Khalistan in India is low. It's not a real thing. And in the 2018 Punjab elections, for example, there was one pro-Khalistani party, and that received less than 0.5% of the vote. So this Khalistan movement is primarily fueled and funded abroad, and is not as important as it's made out to be in India, or as influential within the Sikh community in Punjab. So that's it. Thanks for your insight on this, Bhargav. That was very interesting. Jeshil, thanks for hosting the call.
Sure, Uday. Thank you, Bhargav. Thank you, Uday.